So hi guys, welcome to tutorial number 2, the ethnographic mindset, and we're doing this tutorial just because we're hearing that we're not so sure on what to focus on when we're doing ethnographic fieldwork and where to find insights, what's interesting and what's not interesting, if we should be looking for solutions. So we're picking into Sarah's brain again, and we're getting some insights from the Burnaby Starter project on what her experience was like in going and doing ethnographic fieldwork. So go ahead, Sarah.
Cool. Well, we're just trying to normalize for you that it's okay to feel overwhelmed and unsure and not certain about what to focus on. That is part of ethnographic fieldwork. That is what it's like when you don't have an agenda and when you're not trying to apply a preconceived solution. So this is the stage that we went through before we got to Kudos. Bear in mind that it took us 3 months to come up with the idea for Kudos, and you're not yet at that stage. So where are you? You are in the very first stage of what we call a social research and development process. So you're in the purple bubble. You're in the understanding what is. And simply your job over the next month is to spend time in the settings or the contexts in which your user group is and try and build up a rich narrative or a picture of their lives. Your job is not to problem solve. Your job is not to leave that ethnographic fieldwork thinking you know what would work for a person. It is building up a set of what their preferences are and motivations so that you could figure out what might attract them in the future. We will get to idea generation. That's what the end of April and May will look like. And we will get to prototyping or coming up with some new things. That's what June and July will look like for you. So for the Kudos project, we are in the yellow now, but it's taken us almost 9 months now to get to the yellow phase. And in the first phase, we had no clue what we were building, and that was okay. So in that first few weeks of the Burnaby Starter project, we had to do exactly what you're going to do this week. We had to recruit people. And so we met Dawn, who's in apartment 104, by door knocking and offering some cookies. We had a flyer that we used to explain our project, and we offered to bring Dawn a dinner of his choice. And so a week later, we showed up with some pizza. That's Sabrina on our team. We spent like an hour just eating the pizza, talking about his day. What did he do before we showed up? How was he feeling that day? And then conversation was a little bit slow going. Dawn struggles to get words out. And so we thought, oh, let's use a prompting tool to make it a bit easier.
So you built some trust with him before bringing up the tool.
Yeah, and really just enjoying his company. It's like having dinner with a friend. This is a new person in your life. How would you interact with a friend? You'd ask them questions. You'd tell them a little bit about yourself and self-reveal. This is not designed to be a stiff or formal process. It's designed to be kind of curious and fun. And then we kind of took out some words. We had just really made a Word document with a whole bunch of different words that people might use to describe themselves. And we asked Don to pick out the words that he would use to describe himself and the words that he would not use. And so that's what he's doing here. And we repeated this same exercise with, 10, 15 different neighbors. And the goal was to sort of see, did people pick out different words? Again, we did not know how we were going to use that information, but it was one way in which we could get a glimpse of somebody's self-perceptions or identity, and that's all we were looking for at that point. We also just spent some time observing his space, and so taking pictures, having him take us on a tour and introduce him to the things on his walls and on his mantle. And this was a way to get to know Don a bit better over the years, to ask him, well, when did he get that trophy and why, and when was the last time he went bowling? We also want to get a feel for what it is that people interface with already. So Don interfaces with some services. So we asked if we could be a fly on the wall when he was with Mary, who comes by every Wednesday to cook and clean. Again, we weren't sure what we were looking for. We didn't have an agenda, but we wanted to get a feel for what was his interaction style like with Mary. What kinds of conversations did they have? How did Don feel after the interactions with Mary? And what did his week look like beyond just the services? And so what it looked like is that he went to the pharmacy. And so again, we went with him to the pharmacy. Again, we weren't sure what was interesting about that. But what was clear was that if we were going to design something for Don, we needed to design it within the context of his life. So maybe the pharmacy could be part of a potential solution for Don. He's already there once a week getting something. Could the pharmacist deliver something other than just drugs to him? him. We didn't know what that thing was, but it just was, oh, okay, maybe in the future we will think about hanging a solution off of this hook, as we like to call it. You know, another thing that we did with Don was asked him to show us pictures from his past, from a period of his life which he thought was really exciting and happy. And so, you know, here's him with a basketball, and sports were a big part of his life in the past. They're not part of his life now. Again, weren't sure what to do with that information, but we recorded it because, you know, in the idea generation phase, it may be that sports could be an avenue that we looked at. We looked at the ways in which Don receives information. So he reads a lot. He does not watch TV. He does not watch movies, but he likes audio recordings and he likes books. And so again, we wanted to just record what his preferences in books were. We wanted to record the fact that this could be a potential channel that we use when we designed a solution. You know, if we were to design something for Don and it involved videos, he probably wouldn't use it. That's just useful to know. In addition to trying to just understand his current realities, the rhythm of his life, the stuff he comes into contact with, the things that he likes, his interest areas, we also wanted to see how Don reacts to potential solutions. Again, we don't know if these are the right solutions, and we're simply using these projective prompt cards as a way to figure out what some of his needs might be. And he ended up picking all the cards that were about life coaching or about getting away from your life for a day. And that was interesting to us because in our conversations with Don, he had not mentioned feeling unhappy. But actually, the fact that he chose cards that were about changes suggested that he was open to change or that he saw that as something interesting. And that disconnect or that tension between what he didn't tell us and actually what he was choosing became something that might be relevant when we get to idea generation. And finally, in addition to learning things from Don's perspective through his eyes, we also spent some time with business owners and with social service providers. So if you are in a team and your end user group is not individuals or families, but is business owners or staff, these same methods are the same, really. You are trying to understand what makes a business owner tick or what makes a staff member tick. What is the rhythm of their life? What is the stuff that is really difficult or painful or challenging for them? Where is their aspirations? What are they interested in? How do they currently get information? Where do they currently look for resources? Because your goal eventually will be to design things that fit into people's lives, not to create add-ons, but things that nicely situate in their current context. So what you're doing right now is to know what that current context is. And you don't need to feel responsible for having the answer. You just need to feel responsible for creating a picture of somebody.
So one last question, Sarah.
Yeah.
When you have all this information and you get home, what do you do with it?
Yeah, I mean, it is one of those things. It's always a bit puzzling to me as well. I've got these kind of scribbles of notes, and I kind of see myself as a creative writer or a novelist. My goal is not to try and take all the information and reduce it. My goal is to kind of write a few paragraphs that capture the spirit, that captured the words that this person used, that captured the smell or the feel of being in their setting. Because I want to be able to hand my story to somebody that didn't have the privilege of being there with me that day. And I want them to be able to get a really rich picture of this person's life. And I might drop in a few photos like we do here, and that's it. And later, in April or May, you'll learn how to take those stories and how to focus in and how to generate ideas. But at this point in the process, you're not there yet. You are just there to create a bit of a story of somebody's life, a day in their life, with all the nuance and the richness and the subtlety that you can find.
Thanks, Sarah, for showing this example. So if you have any other questions, we will use the online space to post questions or reflections, and we will try to create these little tutorials on demand. And remember that it's just okay to feel unsure or feeling like you want to have a problem-solving mindset, but really try to hold off because we really want to explore the nuances and the richness of people's lives.
Great. Happy ethnography.
Thank you.